Merchants shouted prices in crowded stone markets as carts rattled across cobbled roads. Bakers pulled warm bread from wood ovens, while children darted between busy stalls. Cathedral bells echoed above timber rooftops as gray smoke curled into the sky. Farmers unloaded heavy grain sacks beside guarded gates of fortified cities. Tailors stitched wool garments under dim oil lamps in narrow winding alleys. Sailors tightened thick ropes along harbors packed with towering trade ships. Caravans arrived, carrying silk and spice from distant eastern kingdoms. Counting houses overflowed with silver coins and parchment ledgers. Stone bridges carried travelers toward expanding medieval capitals. Cities pushed beyond ancient Roman walls into crowded districts. Scholars debated faith and philosophy in candlelit university halls. Blacksmiths forged iron tools within smoke-filled workshops. Worshippers gathered beneath towering Gothic cathedral arches. Royal envoys rode between kingdoms, carrying sealed letters. The continent felt wealthy, powerful, and deeply connected. Trade routes stretched from Asian steppes to Mediterranean shores. Ships transported gold, spices, silk, and unseen stowaways. No one sensed danger traveling beside their prosperity. Far beyond Europe, something ancient stirred in silence, and life continued, unaware of the catastrophe approaching.
Thousands of miles away, across the windswept plains of Central Asia, danger waited. Endless grasslands stretched beneath brutal winters and scorching summers. In burrows beneath the soil, wild rodents carried an ancient bacterium. The disease lived quietly among marmots and ground squirrels for centuries. This invisible organism was called Yersinia pestis. For generations, nature kept a fragile balance between host and parasite. Then the climate shifted, bringing drought followed by violent rains. Food sources withered, and rodent colonies began to collapse. Starving animals moved closer to human trade settlements. Fleas feeding on infected blood searched for new living hosts. The jump from animal to human happened along the Silk Road. Traders and caravan workers became the first unsuspecting victims. High fevers struck suddenly, leaving bodies shaking in agony. Painful swellings formed beneath arms and along the neck. The buboes darkened the skin with horrifying bruised color. Vomiting and weakness followed within hours of infection. Entire trading posts fell silent without understanding why. Rumors of a deadly pestilence spread faster than caravans. Eastern cities reported streets filled with the unburied dead. Yet Europe listened with distant curiosity, unaware of its fate.
If you want to discover more real stories like this, dark, hidden, and rooted in history, make sure you subscribe to this channel now, because what comes next is even more shocking. And one more thing, wherever you are watching from right now, write your country's name in the comments. I want to know how far these stories are reaching around the world. Don't forget, subscribe, comment your country, and stay with us.
On the Crimean Peninsula stood the fortified trading city of Kaffa. Its stone walls guarded Genoese merchants and vast warehouses of wealth. Kaffa connected Asian land routes to Mediterranean sea trade. In 1346, the city was surrounded by the army of the Golden Horde. Khan Johnny Beg demanded surrender, but the defenders resisted. Siege towers and camps stretched across the plains outside the walls. Months passed in tense stalemate between attackers and defenders. Then a silent killer began spreading through the Mongol encampment. Soldiers developed fevers and darkened flesh before collapsing. Hundreds died each day within the crowded siege camps. The army was collapsing from disease, not from battle. Desperate and enraged, Johnny Beg made a ruthless decision. He ordered plague-ridden corpses loaded onto massive trebuchets. The machines hurled infected bodies over Kaffa's stone walls. Rotting corpses crashed into streets and rooftops inside the city. Panic gripped merchants and families within the fortress. Fleas abandoned cold bodies and searched for living hosts. The infection spread silently through crowded marketplaces. Even strong walls could not stop an invisible enemy. The fortress of Kaffa had been breached from within. 12 Genoese galleys loaded with refugees slipped silently from Kaffa's harbor. Ships carried hidden plague carriers, unaware of the deadly stowaways. They sailed past Constantinople, leaving disease in their wake. The Mediterranean was the artery of European commerce and communication. Dock workers in Messina rowed out to greet arriving ships. Sailors lay dead or delirious, their bodies rotting on deck. The living fled in terror, the dead remained as silent witnesses. Black rats scurried from mooring ropes onto crowded piers. The plague spread rapidly through Sicily, unchallenged and unseen. Social order broke down as panic gripped the city. Genoa and Venice faced the same invisible enemy arriving by sea. Quarantine measures were too little, too late for the first wave. Venetian canals became funeral barges, carrying hundreds of corpses. Marseille and Dubrovnik were breached along coastal trade routes. From ports, the disease traveled inland along rivers and Roman roads. Cities like Paris, Florence, London, and Barcelona teemed with hidden death. Multi-story timber houses blocked sunlight, open sewers fueled infection. Doctors were powerless, following humors and miasma theories. Every attempt at healing often worsened the outbreak. Civilization itself seemed to collapse under the weight of the invisible plague.
By 1351, the Black Death had burned across Europe, leaving silence in its path. Half the population perished in less than 5 years. Survivors emerged into cities that looked the same but felt alien. Harvests rotted in fields, livestock wandered unattended. Small villages vanished entirely, names lost to history. Manorial systems ground to a halt. Laborers gained unprecedented power. Lords were forced to offer wages and better conditions. Serfdom began to crack under the weight of demographic collapse. Cities mourned the dead while markets slowly reopened. Art became obsessed with mortality, skeletons dancing across murals. Danse macabre reminded all that death was the ultimate equalizer. Religious fervor surged, but faith often offered no protection. Flagellants marched through towns, whipping themselves in public penance. Fear of contagion tore families apart, leaving many abandoned. Pogroms erupted against scapegoated minorities in city squares. Northern Europe and rural areas also suffered widespread devastation. Wolves and wilderness reclaimed abandoned farmland and villages. Europe's economy slowly recovered, yet society was forever altered. The psychological scars ran deep, shaping culture, art, and law. From death and chaos, a new world slowly began to rise.